and I said, gee, I don't have any bruises on my arms, and I'm always full of bruises. I can't put my finger on it, but I know something's happening. I have to tell you, that has to be the Color.
I've got a Labrador. She can hardly lift herself up off the floor. I won't tell you what the veterinarian said, but the treatment was chemotherapy. And I said, no way. That's when I said, you know what, this could be the ticket. So I started administering it, and she took to it right away. In 3 weeks, you could tell she's very alert. 6 weeks into the protocol, she seemed like she was 100%. She was going on 5-mile walks. I'm like, my goodness, she is just like prime again.
Call 866-836-8735. That's 866-836-8735. Or visit carnivore.com. That's carnivora.com.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie back with you, along with Mark Anthony, the psychic attorney. His latest work is called The Afterlife Frequency. We will take your calls this hour. Questions about the afterlife and also questions about the dearly departed. Specific questions as well he'll take about somebody that you truly care about. There are criticisms of near-death experiences, Mark, that it's the product of the brain as you're getting in that almost death state that does these strange things to you. Now, can you rule that out?
The main criticism or skeptical attack, if you will, George, is that a dying brain, specifically the pineal gland in the brain, as it degrades, produces a chemical known as dimethyltryptamine.
DMT.
DMT, absolutely. And DMT can be synthesized, people ingest it, and essentially it gives you an acid trip. And it has a very spiritual feeling. You feel like you're floating. You get kind of this almost out-of-body sensation to it. However, what DMT doesn't do, it doesn't give you the sensation of traveling through a tunnel into the light. It doesn't give you an encounter with deceased loved ones. It doesn't give you veridical perception. Now, what I mean by veridical perception is facts that the dying person could not possibly know. For example, there was a case study, I believe, conducted by Dr. Kenneth Ring. He's one of the founders of IAMS, International Association Near Death Studies. And there was a woman in Japan who would die during surgery, and when she was resuscitated, her parents were there, and she began to talk about her NDE. So this was documented at the hospital. And she said, I died and I went into this light, and she said, and I saw my sister, but that cannot be, for she is alive. And her parents began to weep, and they said, well, you didn't know this, but your sister was killed in a car accident last night.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, now, DMT is not going to induce that.
No.
Yeah, and I've got several more examples. It comes down to this, George. Artificially recreating something is not the genuine experience. So if I take electrodes and shock a dead frog and its legs convulse, have I brought the frog back to life, or have I just artificially recreated a reaction to an external stimulus? And therein lies the difference between artificial inducement of a feeling through a chemical like dimethyltryptamine and the actual experience of your electromagnetic soul aligning with the higher vibration of the afterlife frequency.
In the movie Frankenstein, Mark, they took this dead body and body parts of all of them and put them together and gave it electric shock from electricity from lightning, and the body became alive. Now, of course, it's a movie, but was that taking a dead whatever and making it come back from the dead?
You know, that's an interesting, very interesting story, because in I believe it was 1765, we've all heard about Benjamin Franklin discovering electricity when he flew the kite and it got hit by lightning, and the key that was hanging on it, was glowing. Well, within 15 years of that, in Italy, Luigi Galvani discovered bioelectricity, and that's why I used the example of taking electrical current and shocking a frog, okay, because that's what he did. And he coined the term bioelectricity because he's the one that helped to develop and discover that our body's nervous system operates on electrical impulses. And by 1805, okay, so we're talking within 40 years from Benjamin Franklin, that gave Mary Shelley the idea to write Frankenstein.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
But my favorite version of it was Young Frankenstein, so.
Okay. Abby Normal.
Abby Normal.
Well, so what is a deathbed vision?
Deathbed visions have been reported worldwide for thousands of years, and what happens there is somebody who is actively dying, and they begin to see spirits of deceased loved ones. And what happens is bystanders oftentimes get caught up in the frequency. You have reports from family members, close friends, hospice, and other healthcare workers in close proximity to the person dying. They will also see the images and the spirits of the people who are coming to greet this person as their soul transitions. And George, I want to go a little bit out on a limb here, because with deathbed vision,
Limbs could break, Mark. You know that.
I'm sorry, what?
Limbs can break. You got to be careful.
Limbs can break. Well, Steve Jobs, okay, the founder of Apple Computers, one of those famous people in the world, he was surrounded by his family, and right before he died, he looked up, and he said, "Oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow."
Yeah.
As if he was describing something. And this is my theory, and I'm not saying this to start any type of social or political reaction or anything, but as a legal analyst, as a near-death experiencer and researcher, and as a medium, the George Floyd video where he was dying, one of the last things that he said, he goes, "Mama, I'm through." And a lot of people kind of glossed over that, and admittedly, he did at times refer to his girlfriend as Mama, but he was also very, very close to his mother. In fact, he was even described as a mama's boy, and he called her Mama. And it is very possible, George, that the George Floyd video may be the most heavily documented evidence of a deathbed vision in history. And once again, I'm saying this strictly as a researcher and a clinician. I am not making any social or political commentary on this. But the fact of the matter is, deathbed visions are very, very widespread. I have observed them personally with family members and close friends, and also being called in by families when somebody is transitioning because, they want me to reassure the person dying, and the family members, just want me there. And I'm not the only one seeing or perceiving the spirits. People who are not mediums are picking up on it as well, because we have a lot of electromagnetic activity going on here, and their brains, their electromagnetic fields are overlapping with those of the afterlife frequency, which is why people are, the deathbed vision goes from that into now the realm of a shared death experience.
Right, okay, so those around the dying person pick things up.
Absolutely.
Is that normal?
Very.
It is.
It is. In fact, the deathbed vision and shared death experience phenomenon is, as my friend and colleague Dr. Jeffrey Long has described, the new frontier in afterlife research. And the thing is, there's always been a social stigma about people saying, my mother was dying and she kept talking about her relatives, and I felt they were there, or I saw them. And what we have seen is that in the deathbed vision / shared death experience, what happens is bystanders may see the spirits. They may see a surge of white light come out of the body for an instant. They may hear indescribably beautiful music. And this is a really fascinating phenomenon, George, is the sense of floating. People feel, wow, I felt kind of dizzy, like I was being lifted off my feet. And what they're experiencing is a lot of what we as mediums get when we're connecting with this higher frequency. So the truth is that these experiences are real, and particularly when we start looking at them through the lens of it being a shared death experience, this takes the near-death experience out of the subjective and makes it objective, because more than one person can report on what the dying person is experiencing.
Is there a common denominator here, Mark, with all of these shared experiences?
Absolutely, and it all gets back to my theory of the electromagnetic soul, because as an EMS is leaving a person's body, there is an intensity of electromagnetic energy. Now, let's look at this in something that's easy to understand. Think of an incandescent light bulb that gets brighter right before it goes out. We've all seen that, and you hear pop like that.
And then it goes, yeah.
Then it goes. And that's because the tungsten in the filament is no longer able, it degrades, and it's no longer able to handle the amount of energy that it's used to regulating. By analogy, that's what's going on with our brain when we're dying. Okay, the electrical, the axons, the ability for your brain to process the energy, the electrical activity that it normally does is no longer able to do that. And we're seeing this in a phenomenon referred to as terminal lucidity. And that's where people who are comatose, severely brain damaged, have Alzheimer's, and many, many different forms of brain impairment. So there's no one common denominator between the impairments. But in 5 to 10% of the cases, this is reported worldwide, people regain lucidity in the last moments of life. They'll come out of it, talk to loved ones around them, say coherent things. And the one thing, George, that all neuroscientists will agree on is that the brain does not suddenly grow 1 billion new neurons right before it dies. So what's happening here is, once again, an example that the brain only hosts consciousness, it doesn't create it. And as the brain is no longer able to handle that amount of electrical activity, the EMS is now overlapping with the electromagnetic fields of the people in close proximity, as well as the spirit where the EMS is about to transition to the higher frequency of the afterlife.
Let's go to the phones now. Let's go to Roger, truck driving in Indiana. Welcome to the show. Hi, Raj.
Hey, George, how you doing today?
Okay, my friend. Drive carefully, and I go. You are on with Mark Anthony.
How you doing, Mark Anthony? Good to talk to you.
I'm doing well, Roger. Thank you for being a truck driver. I know that there's a lot of shortages going on right now, so thank you for everything that you do for us, Roger.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And Raj, a question about near-death experiences or somebody that's passed on?
Yeah, I was hoping that maybe you could give me something specific about my father.
Okay, well, let's see. And here's the thing. There's a lot of spirits, and the person that comes through is not always the one that you want to hear from, the one that comes through first, but let me see who's around. Okay, male energy, and what I'm getting is I'm feeling tingles throughout my bodies, and this would indicate some type of neurological component to his passing. I'm getting a metallic taste in my mouth, and metallic taste can be the result of heavy medications, but this can also be some type of seizures, convulsions. I'm getting a nauseated feeling, and it feels like he was having a real difficult time breathing. So I'm getting neurological component, difficulty breathing, feels like he was very heavily medicated, and my feet feel icy cold, so that's an indicator of circulation issues. And God, now my left leg is hurting real bad, so there was some type of issue with his leg, specifically in his left eye, left leg. Does any of this make sense to you?
Yeah, he had a war injury on his left side, and yeah, he went down into his hip, so...
There you go. Okay, so we got contact with your dad. Hold on. He said the thing he always loved about you, and still does, George,
Roger.
Yeah, Roger, sorry. Thank you. Excuse me, George. Thank you, Roger.
Maybe he liked me too. Who knows?
Yeah, he liked you too. And Roger, he said that you always stay the course. he said that no matter what life throws at you, and I know this sounds corny, but he's showing me like a compass and it's hitting due north, and what that indicates is no matter what the distractions, no matter what the difficulties, he said that you've always found a way to get through them and to negotiate those issues and those problems. He said that you've always been, is your mother still here? Because he said that you were always very, very respectful, decent, and kind to your mom.
No, she actually passed first.
Okay, all right, well, you're always respectful, decent, and kind to your mom. Did she have difficulties with her digestion or ability to eat prior to passing?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, so now your mom's popped in. George, you know what? Your parents could not possibly be more proud of you or love you more. And they keep getting back to all the distractions, all the difficulties. You have this innate ability to just get through it. They said that sometimes you feel like you're being crushed under the weight of the responsibilities that you have, but deep down, you know that you have what it takes to get through. And the thing is, this is something that you learned from them. Let me tell you something, Roger. You had, in this world, really great parents, and from the other side, you still have really great parents. And congratulations on being a great son.
Roger, thank you, and stay with us. Keep truck driving and doing your thing. If somebody has reincarnated already, can you still connect with them?
Yes, and reincarnation is as complicated as cancer, and I'm not trying to be facetious there. It's very, very complex. Because the electromagnetic soul is a multidimensional being. So think of your higher self as like a librarian who has read, several different books, and all the characters in the books don't know each other, but the librarian does. So let's say that, you're Anna Karenina in one life, and then you've reincarnated as, Michael Corleone in The Godfather. I'm just, throwing that out. And you really want to connect with Anna Karenina, although Michael Corleone's live, you still can communicate with the higher self aspect of the electromagnetic soul, which retains the memories and personalities of each of the various incarnations. So also, people shouldn't worry about, will my loved one be there when I transition, because we have this multi-dimensional component of our EMS, but also on a more practical level, on the quantum level, scientists firmly believe that time as we know doesn't exist because everything's energy happening simultaneously. And I explain this in the afterlife frequency, it's space-time. And so let's say, George, that you live another 50 years and the person that you want to see has reincarnated, and when you transition, in your reckoning, once you transition, they'll be back like in the blink of an eye.
Interesting, too.
Yeah.
Tell me about the title, The Afterlife Frequency.
I remember when I was on the Gaia episode, you said, well, what's the title of the book?
Exactly.
Because it wasn't out then.
I kept pushing you for it.
Yeah, you were. And so I'm glad you're asking this, because now I get to tell you. I was working with a couple different ideas, and I decided I was taking a walk on the beach, and I said, well, I'm tuning into this higher frequency that's the afterlife, and I said, wait a second.
There you go.
So I went home and I researched it, and nobody was using that, and I contacted my publisher, and they immediately said, we love it. And it's because that's what we're doing. We're changing our brainwave frequency to communicate with the afterlife frequency.
And the title was made. Mark, we're going to come back in a moment and take a full bank of phone calls. And those of you on hold, we'll get to you as quickly as we can as we talk with Mark Anthony, the psychic attorney, right here on Coast to Coast Radio.
Don't forget to watch our TV show, Beyond Belief with George Norrie. Simply go to beyondbelief.com.
Alisol Fire and Music Festival mandates. I'm Johnny D'Agostini in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The Alisol Fire near Santa Barbara is exploding quickly, prompting road closures, evacuations, and warnings. The fire erupted Monday afternoon near the Alisol Reservoir and has scorched over 13,000 acres. Andrew Madsen with the Los Padres National Forest says strong winds are making containment challenging.
The main firefight is up on top, near the top of Refugio, and we're dealing with this area that's got a lot of receptive, dead and decadent fuel beds that haven't burned in 60 years or more.
A major concern is evacuating nearby animals.
This is a fairly sparsely populated area. There's a lot of ranches, there's a lot of grazing that goes on with livestock and sheep and alpacas.
The flames are threatening hundreds of structures, no containment has been reached, and the cause of the fire is under investigation. Coachella and Stagecoach music festivals are reversing course and will not require attendees to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Their previous policy required full vaccination before attending the festivals in Southern California. But now officials are saying proof of a recent negative COVID test will suffice. Both music festivals are set to return to the Polo Fields in Indio in April and May of next year. Michael Jordan says he has no problem with the NBA's rules on coronavirus protocols and vaccines for players.
Not at all. I am in unison with league, and I'm a firm believer in science. Hopefully everybody abides by whatever the league sets the rules.
The Hall of Famer and Charlotte Hornets owner made the comment Monday on NBC's Today Show. This comes as some players have pushed back against vaccination requirements and could be forced to miss games in cities where vaccinations are required for large public gatherings. South End weather from KFI, sunny skies today. High 60s, low 70s at the beaches, mid 70s in Metro LA, high 70s in the Valley, and mid 70s in the Inland Empire. It's 55 degrees in Anaheim, 51 in Simi Valley, 56 degrees in Van Nuys. We live local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Johnny D'Agostini. In South El Monte, over 60 westbound at Rosemead Boulevard as a vehicle crashed into a light pole blocking the off-ramp. Gardena 91 west of the 110 at the stall blocking the left shoulder of the connecting road. Carson 110 northbound at Torrance Boulevard as they crash blocking the 3 right lanes. And it's Fountain Valley on the 405 north between Brookhurst and Warner at the full freeway closure. All lanes are closed until 5 a.m. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Zachary Dagan.
Hey, it's Dean Sharp. With energy costs rising and temps getting warmer and electric vehicles here to stay, I can't believe how many homes still don't have solar. Now, granted, there's a lot of misinformation out there, so my solar company, Sunlux, asked me to clear some of it up. First, solar doesn't cost you money. It saves you money. A lot of money. Second, it doesn't matter where your panels are made. What matters is who makes them. And finally, you hear about some system out there for $29.95, but that is not what is going to end up on your home. It means something to me that all the partners at Sunlux left top-tier positions at other solar companies. Why? To do solar better. It's why Sunlux is an LG and Tesla Platinum contractor. The best systems, the best battery solutions, the best service, the best warranty, and a solar company who is straight with you from day one. Hey, it's time for solar. Get started today at sunlux.com. That's sunlux.com, sunlux.com. CSLB 1008374.
The Delta variant is making COVID-19 spread faster and more easily. Variants can be more contagious, aggressive, and deadly. But we know vaccines work. Vaccinated Californians have greater protection against serious illness, hospitalization, and death. We can help stop the spread and end this pandemic. Get vaccinated and wear a mask when it can protect you and others. Find a vaccine near you at myturn.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
Are you still driving around with that check engine light on? AMCO will read and report the trouble codes on your vehicle for free. Call them today.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO, KFI, AM 640. To talk to George Norrie, call the Wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies toll-free, call 800-618-8255. To reach George via Skype, use Skype name George97313. Send George a text message anytime at 818-298-6521. From the gateway to the west, this is Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Next hour, Reverend Michael Carter joins us as we talk about alien abduction, so make sure you're part of the program, and we're going to come back in a moment with Mark Anthony and take the rest of your calls here on Coast to Coast AM as well. Have you signed up yet to become a Coast Insider? That's a great way to become part of the program.
Hi, this is Gary from Pearland, Texas. Loyal listener since 1996. I love being a Coast to Coast Insider because I can download shows to my phone and listen anywhere in Texas, from our Gulf Coast beaches to the mountains of Big Bend.
Hi, I'm Pam from Denver. I've been a Coast to Coast Insider for many, many years and love it. I get to listen whenever I want and get to tap into art so far. You too can get these goodies. Become a Coast to Coast Insider today.
This is Jeff. I'm a Coast Insider and I love the show. I can replay the show from the night before anytime with the show archive. All of the guests are very informative and super entertaining. Sign up and become a Coast Insider today. You'll be glad you did.
You sure will be. It's 15 cents a day. You can sign up by going to coasttocoastam.com. Right at the top of the homepage, just fill out the information, and you are in. Now, here's something again for you to build up your immune system.
We all know that feeling when you start to feel sick and immediately think what to take to get through this quickly without feeling real sick. Dr. Alan Millay that gave us the Stem Cell Wellness Kit to the rescue with 3 great products, which combined is the Immune Response Package. It's worth stocking up on before you get those symptoms.
We are exposed to toxins, people breathing on us, shaking hands, flying around in an airplane that other people have just gotten off of. You've got all of these situations where you can put your body into compromise. You need to address quick immune response, and that is done with the product Attack, Co-Resist, and Viral A. What